When we stop using the arms so much for weight bearing in our yoga practice, our legs magically get so much stronger. This short practice is a no arms or no weight bearing on the arms practice. So let's begin by coming to the front of the mat. As you open the chest, with your thumbs reaching back, your baby fingers reaching forward, just get this nice fullness of the breath. Have the breath just expand all the way to the upper chest. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Exhale, and take the hands down with your hands to your shin bones. Extend and lift up. And exhale, let your hands just support you as you go a little bit deeper. Inhale, again, shoulders about at hip height. Exhale and lower. And again, inhale, pulse up. Exhale and soften. With your knees bent, place your hands right in front of your heart and step your right leg back. Balance yourself as you come to a crescent lunge. Reach your arms up. Have your hands nice and wide apart. Create this nice fullness and see how you can commit to refining the pose. As you open up really nicely, to soften down, keep your back leg strong. Place your hands back in front of your heart. And again, this work that we're doing today to strengthen the legs without the use of the hands on the floors, lightly step your back foot forward and release your hands. Inhale, sweep your arms up and slightly back again. Exhale, come to the half forward fold here, supporting the movement of the upper chest with the hands to the shin bones. Rise up, just pulse up with the in breath. Exhale, draw down. Two more. In breath, you rise up slightly. Exhale, you soften down. Just an easeful way to get to know the backs of the legs, the hamstring stretch a wee bit. And exhale on your third round. Bend both knees. Place your hands right in front of your heart and step your left leg back to balance yourself in this crescent lunge. With the back leg strong and the heel lifted, drop further in the front leg. Inhale, take your arms up, spread your fingers, open your heart so fully. It's a practice where you just constantly discover aspects of yourself, things that feel really easy for you, things that you know you really have to work on. See if you can find this fullness even as we work to strengthen the legs more fully. As you place your hands in front of your heart again, without the use of the hands, you step forward and release your hands in Tadasana. Inhale, sweep your arms up again. Exhale, come down to the forward fold. And again, with slight support of your arms, you can rise up to tune into the back sides of the legs and soften. Inhale, just keep that focus. Now that we're repeating these rounds, just going to see how you can, with the breath, continue to dive a little bit deeper into the understanding of the self. And on the next in breath, with the knees bent, place the hands in front of the heart. Again, step your right leg back without the use of your hands on the mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, take your hands where they were again, with the hands in front of the heart. Do a little bit of a twist as you twist to turn the right elbow toward the left knee and you tap down and rise up. The legs stay strong. You come back to center And once again, just tap down, keep a nice strength in the legs, and rise up. And a third time, twist just slightly to draw down and come back up. Step your back foot forward and release your hands. Inhale, take your arms up and slightly back. Exhale. Now, a lengthening of the spine as you lift the shoulders to hip height, and exhale as you draw a little bit deeper. Two more times. Inhale, you expand and lift. Exhale, you soften down. And one more time, you lift up. Exhale with knees bent. Place your hands right in front of your heart. Step your left leg back with grace. Lift yourself up. Lift the back leg up. Drop the front thighs nicely. Just open the chest nicely. From here, if you want to expand fully, feel free. Or just keep your hands where they are in front of your chest and tap the left elbow down in this modified twisting action. We'll do that two more times. Draw down as you come forward. You keep the legs steady and strong. And finally, as you turn to come to a little bit of twist, and tap with your hands still actively pressing in toward the heart. It's all the action of the legs to step forward and release your hands. Draw the tops of the thighs back. Place your hands right in front of your heart. In this chair position, see about taking your left ankle just to the outer right knee. So you're bending your knees and just will tap the foot to the top of the leg. Again, without using the hands to lift the leg there. We'll do that a few more times. With your knees bent, take your foot to the top of the knee and draw it down. Do that again. Just at the strength of the leg, you're taking the leg up and place it down. One more time. Take the leg up and open up, and you draw it down and release your hands. Just pause in Tadasana. Notice how fiery the standing leg might feel after doing that. So let's balance the actions out by bending the knees. And we'll take the right leg up. Same thing. So the tops of the thighs move back. You can take your hands in front of your heart if you wish, or hands to your hips, whatever you wish, but we're not using the hands in the foot placement. So take the foot to the top of the knee or to the shin, wherever it works for you, and place it back down. Keep the knees slightly bent as you lift your foot up and you balance there and draw it down. And the third time, you lift the foot up, draw it down, and release your foot down. Release your hands. Now, in the same way as we were doing, balancing ourselves from the chair pose, let's try that, balancing ourselves as if going into tree without the hands. So oftentimes I use my hands to place my foot just right. But for this pose, if your right foot doesn't go all the way up to as far as you might like, just even at the knee is fine for this because we're not going to be in the pose that long. We're just working on the action of the hip. and the strength of the legs. So on the next in breath, lift your foot up as if you're going into tree pose and release down. We'll do this 2 more times. So you open your hip and take the foot down. And again, you open your hip nicely and take it down and come to the opposite side. So you balance yourself on one side, opposite leg lifts up, and you come to the form of the pose. And again, you lift up, come to the form of the pose, and down, and you lift up and come to a nice opening just through the strength of the legs and release down. Very good. Let's come to a wide stance on the mat. And as you come to a wide stance, as you step wide, with your toes slightly turning out, it's something we don't do that often in yoga with the toes turned out. But pull your legs in toward each other. Take the hands in this prayer position, like we've been doing all class, and bend your knees. So as you bend your knees, just drop yourself a little bit lower. You don't want, for this one, you don't want your pelvis lower than the knees, a little bit higher. You're still pulling your feet in toward the midline. Now just draw over toward the right knee and come back. So you'll straighten the opposite leg as you come to the left. And same thing, you just kind of pass through center and draw over to the right and pass through center to come to the left, pass through center to come to the right, through center to come to the left, and one more cycle through center to come to the right, through center to come to the left, and back up. So parallel your feet. With your feet parallel, interlace your fingers behind your back and press the knuckles very firmly to the low back. As you do, with the elbows bent, hug the elbows in as you draw it down toward a forward fold. So sometimes in this pose, my legs just seem to forget their strength. I like to bend my knees quite a bit and pull the feet in toward each other. So I have a remembrance of that gift of the strength of my legs. I'm still pulling the legs in toward each other as I come down to a modified forward fold. I'm not going as deep as I can. I'm just working on strengthening the legs, pulling the feet in toward the midline before lifting the interlaced fingers up and letting the head release down. Keep a nice fullness to the chest, a nice lift to the interlaced fingers. And place your hands back to your low back with your knees bent, with your feet pulling in toward the midline. Inhale and lift yourself up. Stay in a nice wide stance. Turn your right toes out. Bend your right knee. Inhale, sweep your arms up for virabhadrasana number 2. We've been working on strengthening the legs. And sometimes the way to get to effective strengthening is through the connective tissue. And just by doing some slight, I don't want to call it bouncing, but just pulsing in the pose. You're drawing down, you have to pull in to lift up. So you have to get that engagement. So just pulse a little bit in the pose. And if this agitates your knee, you've gone a little bit too far, so don't go so far. Just get this nice pulsing action as the feet pull in toward one another. And slowly straighten the front leg and lift your left arm up to come to Utthita Trikonasana, this triangle pose. Keep a nice steadiness here. Keep a nice engagement of the legs. And see if you can take the bottom hand away from the shin bone. So you can just trust completely in the strength of the legs. You're pulling the feet in toward the midline. It's a really strong engagement of the legs. Root down to inhale and rise up out of the pose. Exhale, release your hands. Parallel your feet first. Draw your left toes out. Line up from the front heel to the back arch and bend the front knee. And just notice as we go through the poses, go deeper into this side, just with the knowledge that you had from the last side, as you pulse and draw into this pose with this more dynamic, seemingly static, but it's a little bit more dynamic as we just pulse to get the connective tissue very engaged. Just kind of notice how one side differs from the other. You come deeper in your pose and just work the connective tissue that surrounds, especially the hip joint in this case. Now come toward a straight leg pose in Utthita Trikonasana. Just come to the form of the pose that serves you nicely. It really represents, the gifts that you bring to your yoga practice. How can you really shine for the knowledge of those gifts? Now lift your bottom hand off the leg. So you're not like hanging out hand to the leg. You're just doing the fullness of the pose through the strength of the legs. You're pulling the legs in toward one another. And inhale, lift yourself all the way up. Exhale, release your hands. Come to sit. And as you sit, just come to a variation of navasana that works for you. So as you lift your feet up, and your knees can stay bent, your choice, you can straighten your legs if you wish, reach your hands forward. Now we'll come toward a variation in pigeon pose. So extend your legs forward and just draw like we did in the poses. We balanced with one foot just to the top of the thigh. I'm taking my left foot to the top of the thigh, opening up in this pigeon variation and drawing forward slightly. Now we'll do this 2 more times. So if you miss part of that, you've got another opportunity. So inhale, balance yourself in some variation of navasana. Your feet are lifted. Now slowly come down. So I've got my right leg straight, the left leg in this pigeon form, and I'm drawing forward just to open up in a way similar that we did in the standing balance pose earlier. So you inhale and same thing, you balance yourself. You exhale and you come to the forward fold with one leg on top of the other as you draw down. Now inhale, balance yourself with your feet lifted. If you want to go towards straight legs, by all means, please do. And straighten your left leg as on its own. Your arms aren't helping out as you place the ankle just either above the shin or above the knee. And inhale, you balance yourself by lifting your feet up. And exhale with grace. You take your right ankle to the outer knee, outer shin, and bow forward. And one more time, inhale, you balance yourself. Get this nice engagement. Exhale, you work the pelvic area as you draw down. And inhale, lift yourself up. This practice has given us an opportunity to bring lots of power to our legs. So your legs might be feeling very fatigued, and this would be a perfect time for Shavasana. Enjoy this time to assimilate the practice. Namaste.